Morning guys, I'm back in Sydney. I was going to get this bit of video for the girls.
Check it out, guys. Baby huntsman. Sorry, catch my nubs.
Spiders. I went for a ride yesterday and put up on Instagram that I had a little tumble, which I did, on a bike path around Parramatta. And I was bombarded by actually some positive things, like, get wells and all that stuff, but I'm not very badly hurt. But more like, what do you do to dress the wounds and all that kind of stuff? So I thought, look, it's Tuesday. I'm going to try and do a race later on today, so I thought I'd just quickly show you what. Do you think I'm an expert at crashing or something? So normally, look, it's pretty simple. Clean it, obviously, as much as possible. Those of you that follow me on Instagram would have seen yesterday, like, the amount of gunk and muck on me just from riding, which wasn't in the wound. Guess what's in the wound? So just literally went nuts at trying to just sort of clean it, really go at it. Don't do what I did a couple of years ago, which is clean it so much that you pass out in the shower face down and you have to call an ambulance because your wife thinks you've died. Don't do that, but do clean it out. So clean it out, let it dry a bit, and then look, simply get some antiseptic cream. The theory these days is to try and keep the wound moist rather than it drying out, I'm told. And then you've got your myriad of dressings. Now we do have a myriad of dressings, everything from the Bacti-Grass stuff, which is fantastic for those deep wounds. I just simply ran a non-stick dressing over the top of the wound. I have shot some footage of me doing that. I didn't know how to do that, so just bear with me as I do some cutaways of it. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I will kind of say this. Now, I've got a couple of grazes and marks on my elbows as well. I will dress those. They don't look particularly exciting, but I will dress those. And the reason being, Alex, you remember this, 2 and under a couple of years ago, we're just riding around doing some gravel stuff, had a little stumble, falls over on his elbow, doesn't think anything about it. It's probably a similar wound to that, right? And doesn't do anything on it for a month. And then a month later, it gets infected and he's in surgery. So look, it is one of those things that get your dressings on it and keep it safe, especially if you're continuing to ride. And that is my point here. I am continuing to ride. I'm not having a day off the bike now. So this just has to deal with it. Anyway, busy day. We're going to try and get out to Heffron Park this afternoon. See how it plays out, all right? Quick once over. Bike is pretty good, actually. Few scuffs on the bars. Little scuff on the derailleur, but seems to be shifting okay, and it doesn't seem to have bent the derailleur. A couple of guys asked me questions actually after the crash, more questions, right? First one was, do I insure my bike, and if so, do I recommend it? So no, actually, I don't insure the bike. I pretty much can't. The reason being, if you race your bike at a certain level, most insurance companies will not touch you. There are a few ways you can go, but at the end of the day, you tend to find with the premiums it is pretty much not worth it. So no, actually, don't insure the bike. That said, do insure my income. You guys remember a couple of years ago, you used KOM Financial Advice as one of the team sponsors, maintained that personally, so do use that as an income thing. And the way I kind of view it is, well, that's what pays for the bike. So ensure that and the rest is covered. I will say that in the past, pre-racing days, or like this sort of racing days, I actually insured the bike as part of my home and contents insurance through GIO, and that was a pretty good way of going at the time. The worst thing about these evening Heffron races is you friggin' change your mind like 12 times before them, whether you're gonna go. But I spoke to Dan and he's like, yeah, you gotta go. Look, you need to do some speed work. suck it up. If you get dropped because of your hip or your knee, just deal with it. But worst case scenario, you know, you're piped and do it tomorrow. So yeah, there you go. There's my excuse. But no, I do want to talk to you about something. Actually, we'll do it on the way.
So yeah, look, the other thing I just want to quickly talk about is the internet wheels, because I've finally had a bit of a chance to ride them, and guys, straight off the bat, I haven't had any problems with them, okay? The performance of them is fine. They are probably better than I expected, but here's what I kind of see it, right? So for what I'm doing today, going to a Heffron race, probably going to do on Thursday, do the chop, you know, stuff that is pretty standard type behavior on a bike. They're great, they're fine, they will not let you down. But I think what's starting to come more obvious to me, it's when you take them out of their comfort zone that they do struggle. And a perfect example of that was in Berry. And again, I was not let down by them, but clearly long descents, bumpy, harsh descents, yeah, the rim track wasn't destroyed or anything like that, but the braking was not as good as the Boras. Full stop. That's just the case, okay? And I had a good chat to Ben. Shout out to Ben, cracking ride at Nationals. But before the Elite Road Race, he did the crit. He did the crit in the wet. He had the WTO 60s on, and he was like, man, these are as good, if not better than disc brakes. Like, that's what they are. And these aren't that good. They're not that bad, but they're what you would expect from a carbon clincher in the wet, you know? That's kind of what they do. Speaking of what you do, I have no idea what she's doing. So I think that's sort of where my head is at with them. I will probably continue to ride them, like certainly as we don't have enough WTOs, and I'm quite confident riding them around Sydney and that sort of stuff. But yeah, when they're out of their comfort zone, that's where the rubber sometimes bounces a bit off the road. Mark it down, pull up my Strava. That is the best ride I've ever had into Centennial Park during the day. My night is made. I don't care what happens in this race. All right, guys, what do you reckon? Plan tonight. Look, if I can get a good 30 minutes in, I'll be happy. That's sort of my aim. I don't really want to get involved in the shenanigans at the end. Good intense 30. That's the plan. So we got around, guys. We got around. Actually, I was pretty happy with that in terms of like how I felt. Yeah, really. I was saying to Jesse on the ride back, and I think my heart rate's been above about 160 in like 3 months. So I was not sure what to expect, but well, look, as it turned out, I was pretty happy. I do want to say this again. I had really some lovely people coming up. One particular guy who came up to me from Colombia and said that he's never raced before. Tonight was his first race. That's a bizarre decision, but anyway. And like what some of the videos we've been doing has inspired him to race. How cool is that? How cool is that? Guys, just quickly on the wheels, that little bit that I was saying about it. Guys, with the reviews and just So I'm really enjoying this daily vlog style, especially for January. I think this is a great style for January because, you know, those of you that know a little bit about Australia, January can be a bit of a holiday month here. So I think it's a nice vibe to kind of keep going throughout January. We'll get into the sort of more serious stuff as the year goes on, but I might try and do this sort of thing down to it under as well. So yeah, there's not going to be like stand-up sort of like, you know, reviewy things, but I'm going to keep chatting about all the products that we're using. All right? Alrighty guys, thanks very much. See you soon. Right, mate. Good stuff.